So one idea that I like is the idea of gradually replacing parts of your brain, say replace biological neurons.
Can you take us through this? Because I think it's a curious way of thinking about it.
Here we go. We got brain uploading. So this is a drawing of the philosopher Susan Schneider, who's written about this, by an illustrator for my book Reality Plus called Tim Peacock. And just say we gradually replace neurons in our brains by silicon chips which are as similar as possible. And first you replace 1% of the brain, 10% of the brain. I guess right here we're seeing about 50% of the brain replaced, and she's still saying, I'm still here. It's like, those silicon chips are doing the job just as well. Then we go all the way...
But she's sounding more and more like Siri, right, as you go along.
We get all the way to 100%, and she says, I'm still here. You could do that, I could do that. And then at that very moment, maybe we would then have the first-person datum that we are conscious, although we are made of silicon, and that would be a kind of datum.
So would that experiment, that thought experiment, if it were successful in the real world, would that convince you?
But I don't think it could be successful in the real world. I think it's another example of these nice thought experiments that we can help ourselves to, but actually if you unpack what it's asking, it's very, very difficult to imagine anything like this could happen. I think that matters because it matters for the conclusions that we draw. We have this very nice idea that you gradually replace every neuron, every connection with a wire and a little silicon chip. But brains aren't really the kinds of things where you can do that. Everything that the brain does is incredibly entrenched, intertwined. There are chemicals swishing about.
Isn't that just complexity? Doesn't that just make it difficult?
It does make it difficult, but it makes it difficult in a way that I think undermines the utility of thinking about these simple thought experiments. It's just not something that you could do. I mean, very basically, I think the brain is the kind of system where you can't cleanly separate what it does from what it is. Sometimes a neuron fires. It's not to communicate with other neurons. It's to get rid of metabolic waste products. So if you're going to get a model neuron that does that, you have to then not only replace all the neurons and connections, but all the stuff, all the metabolism that's going on underneath as well. And before you know it, it's no longer possible to build it out of silicon, just as it's not possible to build a replica of the Brooklyn Bridge out of string cheese. You just can't do it. It doesn't work like that.
And so you made reference to human exceptionalism as perhaps misleading us or perhaps giving us guidance, right? It really depends on the problem and how you apply the idea. But can you imagine, maybe I should say this to David first, but because you've already said you don't even think it's possible, but